everyone. I have another news story from a contribution from the GoFundMe. And remember, if you make a donation and contribute to the GoFundMe and you want a story read or you want my opinion on something, you go right to the top of the list. Furious judge brands man who beat his partner then murdered her father Manly because he pleaded to guilty after being caught on CCTV. A judge has been slammed for branding a convicted murderer Manly after he pleaded guilty to the brutal stabbing of his ex-partner's father. Violent thug Darren Gilbert, 22, smeared his face with a man's blood after stabbing him in the neck before going on to slaughter the ex-girlfriend's father in a frenzied knife attack. Gilbert of Clacton has now been jailed for life after he used two carving knives to stab James Gregory, 54, the father of ex-partner Jasmine, 14 times in a brutal onslaught in broad daylight of April of this year. As he jailed him at Chelmsford Crown Court on Friday, Judge Christopher Ball, QC, said, "This is an example of the modem unrestrained knife violence on our streets." He told Gilbert, who was described by police as a dangerous individual, gee, you think, he would serve a minimum of 20 years behind bars for the brutal and frenzied attack. But bizarrely, the judge also praised Gilbert for his early guilty plea, which described as manly course of action, and took 5 years off his minimum sentence. Wow. Wow. Manly course of action. I don't think the judge was saying he was acting like a man by killing him. Said he was maybe manning up and taking responsibility for his actions. I still wouldn't have removed 5 years off his sentence, though. So, I mean, manly course of action. He's talking about the act of taking responsibility and actually pleading guilty. He's not talking about the actual murder being manly. The judge said he has not acted like a coward and tried to avoid it. For that manly course of action, he will get very significant credit. I don't know how you give anybody who murders anything credit for anything. I mean, according to this, he was caught on camera doing it, so I don't know how manly, how much he's manning up, though people will try to drag out court cases. But I don't think he's saying that he was acting like a man by killing the guy. The judge has been slammed today for his choice of words during the sentencing. Polly Neat, chief executive of Women's Aid, said, "To refer to a serious perpetrator of domestic abuse and murder as manly because he pleaded guilty gives the message that violent abuse is part of what is to be a man, and admitting to it in some way reduces the seriousness of male violence. Stereotypical ideas of manly behavior and entitlement contribute to domestic abuse. This is a case that shows the judge does not really understand domestic abuse. This is something we see time and time again at Women's Aid, and it is an issue that must be addressed." Why are they going to Women's Aid and getting an opinion on this? Now, I understand it was the ex-girlfriend's father, but like anybody could speak out on a brutal murder, don't get me wrong, but this is what the media is framing this as, just a violent man, domestic abuse. I mean, and somehow trying to tie the woman to it. And she is, to a certain extent, tied to it because it was her father. But they're totally misconstruing and twisting what the judge was saying. He wasn't saying at all, sentence him to life, which is minimum 20 years, which I still don't think is enough. I think you should sit in there for life or get the death penalty. I am pro death penalty. But this is being kind of shoehorned into man on woman domestic violence. And, to a certain extent it is. She murdered her father. But why go to a woman's group? about this and get a quote from a woman's group. It's very, very deceiving. It's very deceiving. The court heard Gilbert had been in a 3-year relationship with Mr. Grigori's daughter, whom he attacked regularly. On one occasion, the court heard he punched her in the stomach while she was pregnant, causing her to lose her baby. On April 11th this year, the couple finally split up, but Gilbert broke into Grigori's flat and was arrested. 2 days later, on April 13th, he made repeated phone calls threatening his former partner and her family. Police again were called, but they could arrive. But before they could arrive, Gilbert burst into the home, carrying a carving knife in each hand. The court heard a friend try to intervene and was slashed with the knife repeatedly, while Miss Grigori and others fled. Another man was cut and threatened with a knife. Lori Tucker, prosecuting, said Gilbert put the blade to the man's neck and made 1.5 centimeter cut. He took the smears of blood and rubbed it on his face and licked it off his fingers. Wow, this guy's nuts. This guy's just a violent asshole. The sentencing hearing on Friday heard brave Mr. Grigori came to the aid of his daughter and unsuccessfully tried to get Gilbert to leave the flat. But following a chase, Gilbert stabbed him 14 times in an alleyway near Rosemary Road Market in Clacton. During the vicious attack, Mr. Grigori was stabbed 14 times, including once to the throat, which cut an artery, and once in the chest, which punctured his lung. The horrific attack was captured on CCTV and was later shown privately to the judge before sentencing. Gilbert evaded capture until 11:40 a.m. the following day, when he was found in an extensive manhunt. After the murder, Mr. Grigori's son Nathan posted a message on Facebook. It read, "My dad is a hero. He spent the past 2 years of his life devoted to his daughter and granddaughter. He gave them all he could and protected them to the end. He's my dad, and he may not have been there all the time, but he was the best dad I could ever ask for. My dad, Larry James Grigori, is a hero to the whole family." Well, sounds like an excellent father. And this is what families who aren't narcissistic do. This is what we talk about, having your children's back, having your family's back, protecting your family to all end. This man died for his family. Stephen Rose mitigating said Gilbert had told him, "I do not feel sorry for what you did, but I know sorry won't cut it. I don't know how to say sorry, but I will show it by spending every day of the rest of my life in prison." Well, obviously, this guy's a violent narcissist, but they're only sorry. Violent narcissists are only sorry when they have to face their consequences, which is rare. But this guy went, obviously way over the edge. Judge Christopher Ball, QC, said, "You showed aggressive and violent conduct towards two men there at the flat. One was very seriously injured." After the sentence, Gilbert said, "Thank you, sir," to the judge, but showed no emotion. Speaking after the sentencing, Detective Chief Inspector Morgan Cronin of Essex Police said, "Darren Gilbert is a dangerous man who will now have a long time behind bars to think about his actions. He should be going to friggin' death penalty, but I don't think they have that in the UK. The local community will be safer for his incarceration." Clearly. Well, I don't think this guy should be getting any time off for admitting something that was caught on camera. I would caution, taking the quote from the woman's group, but this woman did suffer at the hands of domestic violence, lost a baby to this guy. And, it just goes to show you, the whole legal system is screwed up as a whole. The fact that this guy would get credit for anything, whether he admitted to it up front or not, is ridiculous. Is absolutely ridiculous. father went and tried to protect his daughter, tried to protect his family, and lost his life for it. You know, I have a hard time finding any, there's no bad situation for the victims. I mean, this entire family was victimized by this guy. But to a larger extent, why couldn't the police do anything about this guy before he killed somebody? And, this is something we deal with when we deal with police and we deal with violent spouses and, the court system. And this is what you get where, this judge, again, the abuser, the aggressor, somehow gets credit for finally admitting that he has a problem that was caught on video. This is a terrible story. It really is. It's a terrible story. You lost it. He caused a miscarriage by his violence. He faces no charges for that. Faced no charges for that. And he's breaking into the house, and you call the police, and what do? You're a sitting duck until they get there, hopefully. And this is something that happens in a lot of countries, and which is why I'm glad this country has a Second Amendment to, at least you can arm yourself to protect yourself. Guys like this is exactly why, people do have there are so many guns in this country, in America at least. Because what do? You just, if the police can get there, they can save your life. If they can't, you're screwed. And I don't know how good the police would have been over there, because I know a lot of them don't carry weapons. They don't carry guns. So I don't know if they have tasers or whatever, but this is a horrible story. But the story's kind of framed in a way where the judge is making it seem like he was just calling him a man's man, but that's not it. He was taking credit. He was giving him credit for, I guess, avoiding a long, drawn-out trial. But who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? That's what the justice system is supposed to be for. It's supposed to be for guys like this, and you're supposed to throw the book at them. We shouldn't get any credit for something that was seen on camera. It was on CCTV. How is he gonna get out of it? Okay, mentally insane. He's still going away to a facility for the criminally insane, and he's never getting out. So, the judge is an asshole for sure. The judge should have just thrown the book at him and kept his mouth shut. Should have made the prosecutor said, you know what, you're not getting any deals. We're going for whatever the max is, life imprisonment, no possibility of parole. But I don't even know if that's an option in England. In this country it is, but in England, I don't know if you could actually go away for life for real in England or not. It's a shame, but I would say it's another example also of people in authority like the judge who just want to get their name in the story, have to be able to make a decision about something somewhere, even if it benefits the abuser. Really shameful, really disgusting. But in the assailant, this guy is definitely, falls in the scale of narcissism where they can't just let it go. They can't just let it go. And then he took his easiest way out. He admitted to it, and then he's like, "Thank you" at the end. It really is a shame. This is a tough story to do. But I was asked to do it, so I read it, and this is a tough one. But be careful. Always try to analyze every story that's in the media and look what it's really saying. I really wish they had gotten some quotes other than the women's group, but in hindsight, what the daughter had gone through, I mean, I guess it's fair. It is. I mean, it's fair. Cost her a pregnancy and the chance to raise a child, begging for help from the state, and it didn't arrive. The whole thing is a shame. And then the judge does say something stupid like, calls him manly. I don't think it matters what he said. The fact that he gave him any time off at all off his sentence is the issue. But, we want to make this into, violent male thing, although the article doesn't outwardly say that. It's implied. There's plenty of women that kill their husbands too, but that's not what this story is about. The whole system's a mess, and then honestly, until people wake up to narcissism and violent narcissism and sexually abusive narcissism, and these narcissists that can't shut down until they get their way, and then they're going to keep escalating and escalating. To me, I think the police and the government is responsible for this, because this guy should have been locked away long ago. Long ago. He should have never have come to this. Should have never have come to this. And this judge gives him 5 years off his sentence. You don't give him anything. You get a 5 years off of a life sentence with no possibility of parole. That way you still never get out. And this guy should never get out. What a shame. What a terrible story. It really is. It makes me sad. All right. Well, thank you for your contribution. Thank you for the story. A little different than what I normally go through here, but still on the same scale. Just frustrating dealing with this type of shit. What's with the wigs on the judges over there? It's weird. Whole thing is weird. Thank you everybody else for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate all your support to the GoFundMe. I'm really looking to have a big weekend with it. So please, if you can contribute, do so. Share the link wherever you can. And again, remember, if you do make a contribution and you want your story made into a video, you go right to the top of the list. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. See you all again shortly. Bye.